Mark with a K, thank you for super chat. I got that super chat even before I went live. That's pretty rare. Thank you very much. Started a little early as usual. Billy is here. Billy's awake. Billy, say hello to everyone, Billy. There he is. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. I think Billy's gonna get down. Come on, Billy, stay there. Well, there you go. He's going off. When it gets a little hotter, he likes lying down on the wooden floor, Billy. So we'll have a bit of a chat before everyone comes on. I'm about 10 minutes early. So we've got Kevin Dragon, Bunter Hidden, says Monaco rules. Graham Hobbs is here. Alias Jones, put your mind into that space. When SHTF, how do you think that the tax people will get paid? The system collapse, bankruptcy scenario. Yeah, I mean, that's what a hyperinflation would be. And I'm going to touch upon that today, not directly, but at some technical analysis I've been following for years from a veteran of technical analysis and markets. We'll come to that a little later. Pablo Pina, hi Pablo. El Mojo Celery, hello. Carlos Garcia from Jersey, USA. Hi, Carlos. Phoenix FP40, hello. Hardy Singh, you're clearly better than you realize. Monaco 64. Cupid Stunt, evening Mario and Billy, no mates, Billy Bullion from Warrington, UK. Dave L, audio's good, that's good. Kristen Rowe, hi Kristen. Better sound than this morning. Billy going to audit silver at the LBMA. I don't think there's much silver there to audit at all. I was reading Rafi's latest report about premiums for coins and bars in the States. I think that's gone up even more now. It's like 16% over spot. Music lover, yeah, I was about 10 minutes early. That's usually how early I am. Maybe I'm a little earlier today. Harry Bone, wife and I have been watching for years. You're the best. Thanks for the work you put in. Oh, thank you. Olivier Leroy from Paris. Always enjoy this channel on Sunday evening. Je vous en prie, monsieur. Merci beaucoup. Brick 22, buy Theta. Christine Sheener or Shiner from New York City. Hi, Christine. Jim Marshall from near Boston, Lincolnshire. I thought it was Boston, Massachusetts. I didn't see the Lincolnshire. John from Warrington. That's a second from Warrington today, I think. Paul Brown from Sheffield. Pino Kunschner from Bavaria. Great. Henry Bound, Topeka, Kansas. Lord Humongous, nice to see you here, Lord Humongous. He's been with us for many years on the channel. Lord Humongous. Ben Gray. Lisa gives me a bit of time to connect with you guys. What's your take on Bitcoin? Yeah, I'll answer that question. I know I'm early, but doesn't matter. I think it's just a propaganda. It means more control. They're going to use this crisis to try to impose even more control. It will mean less privacy. It's not going to be a stable store of value, of course, just like what we have today. So yeah, I'll try to avoid it like the plague, Bitcoin. I like the way they named it Britcoin. I saw an article today. I think it was in the Mail, and they even put a picture of a Bitcoin in the article to get people to think that it's like Bitcoin. They even named it Britcoin. Pistol packing pilot from Cape Coral, Florida. Nick Nasty from New Jersey. Hi, Nick. Can you comment on Operation Bernhard, the largest counterfeiting operation in history carried out by Germany in World War II? Oh, yeah, there's a movie about that. I think I watched it a few years ago. So it was, I think it was, yeah, in Germany. I think they could have been concentration camp inmates, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they basically counterfeit, or maybe spies, I don't remember exactly. They counterfeit 5-pound notes, which was a big denomination back then. It was like over an ounce of gold equivalent, I would say, 5 pounds. And they counterfeit these 5-pound notes, and they used to drop it over the UK, or they had spies bring them on into the not drop it, I'm sorry, but they used to bring it underground and disperse it in the UK economy to try to inflate the system, to damage the currency. So that was Operation Bernhard, counterfeiting. Basically, something that used to be done by the enemy, but nowadays our own governments counterfeit currency, of course. And that's why gold and silver, you have to have gold and silver if you've been able to accumulate any kind of savings throughout your life, be it a short life, if you're young, or even, if you're older. It's never too late. Orlando from Genève. I lived there for 5 years, of course. I don't know if you know that. Do you paint Billy? No, that's his color. Billy looks like silver. Neku Sorin from Romania. Hello, Neku. The name of the movie, let's have a look. Operation Bernhard. Movie. It's called The Counterfeiters. So here we go. I'll share it. It's just it's pretty. And there you go. Is this the one? Yeah, that's the one. Solomon Sorowitz lives a mischievous life of cards, women in Berlin during Nazi era. He suddenly gets arrested and thrown into a concentration camp. Solomon exhibits exceptional skills there and is soon transferred to upgraded camp, handpicked for his unique skill, forced to produce fake currency. So there you go. It was at a concentration camp. Dmitry Shmerkovich, thank you for your super chat. So let's see your question. One thing I don't understand, how can there be a liquidity crunch if there is reverse repo to soak the excess liquidity with zero regard for collateral? Well, the problem is that the reverse, and I'll bring an article from the FT that talks about that. It is written by someone that I don't really respect too much, because he's been bashing silver for the last year and a half, but he's written something interesting about that. Well, the repo market is supposed to be a market where the big Wall Street banks and other the shadow banking institutions, hedge funds, fund managers, all kinds of financial institutions, and also non-financial institutions, where they lend money to each other, and they take T-bills and treasuries as collateral. So what the reverse repo is doing here is basically stopping people from lending collateral. The money is staying with the Fed instead of going into the markets. Because why do these people use the repo market? Well, because let's say they've got 10 million of US Treasuries and they want to buy another higher yielding asset, a stock or a corporate bond. They will lend those treasuries to a primary dealer, let's say JP Morgan, and they'll get the cash and they'll buy stocks or corporate bonds, and that drives liquidity. And right now, this reverse repo is stopping that. So, and the other thing that the Fed is doing is that by doing all the QE, it's parking a lot of government debt, treasuries, T-bills, T-notes, T-bonds, all kinds of paper in their balance sheet. And usually these treasuries are used as collateral for the repo market. So by doing this, the Fed is basically, yes, they're helping keep interest rates low and in keeping Uncle Sam going. But what they're doing is that they're basically stopping the liquidity flowing in the markets. Right now, it's still okay, but it could cause a lot of problems. So that's how, I hope, hopefully that was clear. Freddie Moses, when I was younger and in primary school, I met Jimmy Savile and he fixed it for me to milk a cow blindfolded. Just wanted to share that. Yeah, I mean, there's some people have a lot of stories about that guy. Really bad. And he was a made man, wasn't he? No one touched him while he was alive because he had connections right up to the top. And we know who those people are. I try not to get too much into this subject. Bengt Bernhardsen from Norway. Do you think a bond will sell off and shadow banking will dump everything, including gold? Where are we in the debt cycle? And do we see tapering now in China? I think China, about a month ago or so, maybe more, they raised their reserve requirement ratio. Uh, I don't think China's been doing as much QE as the Western central banks. Um, as per the bond market, yeah, it's difficult to say. Right now, the Fed's under control still. I think though, if prices keep rising, like the CPI and inflationary pressures, and they don't come off by the end of the year, we could see bonds start coming off and yields start going up. Yeah, Fed is inflation. That's right, Lord Humongous. So Simon Bevan, hi Simon. Yeah, Ephesians. Yeah, we battle are not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, right? Yeah, that's a very good passage there, I would say. That's what we're doing. I think that's the biggest struggle for people who love what's right and freedom and doing the right thing. Yeah, Russia did raise rates. I saw last week or the week before. Russia is a powerful military nation, but economically, it's not that powerful. China, I haven't seen if they've raised rates, but in the West, the Federal Reserve or the ECB or the Bank of England, we cannot afford to raise rates at all. We can't even afford to talk about tapering QE. So let me bring this article from a guy that I'm not a fan of, but he actually wrote something quite interesting about what's going on. The other thing we need to take note is that the suspension for the debt ceiling that expires at the end of July. So I think it's Saturday, the 31st of July. So next weekend. And what that will mean, we could see another debt ceiling crisis like we had in 2011. And what will happen there is that the Treasury won't be able to issue as much debt. They'll have to freeze borrowing. And that, again, is going to decrease liquidity in the markets. So that's what this guy's talking about. He's saying the horror scenario. And the FT, of course, is a globalist organization. And some people might ask, why do you subscribe to the FT? Well, because sometimes they'll come out with very good information that we need to think about. You can't read about this kind of thing in the Daily Mail or the Telegraph or whatever. So it says the horror scenario lurking in the plumbing of finance. So the plumbing of finance is the repo market. It's like the pawn shop for Wall Street. Federal Reserve and US government actions leading to a shortage of quality collateral that underpin trades. So what is this quality collateral? Well, it's the US Treasuries. So this is what he talks about here. Back, let's see. So just as the expendable teenagers will always split and then open the wrong doors. He's talking about horror movies. We can count on the US Federal Reserve and Congress to do the stupid thing. In this case, that would be congressional inaction on the artificial debt ceiling and the real budget. This nonsense is limiting how many treasury bills and short-term government securities can be issued. For its part, the Fed is ensuring that much of the short-term US government paper that might be available is locked up in accounts where it cannot be used to secure myriad financial transactions that keep the global economy ticking over, sort of like the idiot teenager horror victim who loses the keys to the escaped car. So, yeah, the good collateral, of course, is what they use to do these overnight repos. So if there isn't collateral around, if the Fed's buying too much of it, if a lot of it is clogged up in the reverse repo, yes, the financial system could come to a grinding halt. Basically, this is what this guy thinks. We'll have to wait and see, though. So that was what I wanted to. That was, of course, the title, kind of the title of this live stream, and I think it's important for us to touch upon that. Again, I'm not too concerned about the financial markets personally, because I'm mostly outside the financial markets, except for some mining stocks that I have, and I view them as ownership in money production companies. And why do I call them money production companies? Well, because they mine for real money, for gold and silver, and I think those two kinds of money will be in high demand in the next 5 to 10 years, or even more. Daryl Jones, I haven't done my taxes. I'm too turned up. Yeah, this is one of the mugs I did even before the silver squeeze movement started. It says, Billy says, snore on and keep stacking. So there you go. There's Billy. I'm drinking water, by the way. That's just water. Barry, hi Mario. Are you saying they will not raise mortgage rates, but commodities will hyperinflate? Uh, the thing about mortgage rates is that the market sets it. I know the Federal Reserve is intervening in the mortgage market. They are buying a lot of MBS, or mortgage-backed securities. Yeah, they're gonna keep they're going to try to keep yields or interest rates low for as long as possible because the economy is not doing well, despite the fact we're told the economies are doing well. Uh, we have too much government spending, and I'm going to come to that a little later. We've got too much, yeah, at least here in Europe, too much fear, and the economies are, not functioning at all. And I think tourism doesn't help either. I know the US is not a huge tourist attraction, but it makes a difference. A lot of foreigners are not going to the US. So, yeah, I think they can't afford it's such a huge credit bubble. It's the everything bubble. It's more leveraged than anything else. So, yeah, eventually that will hyperinflate the dollar and other currencies because they have to keep inflating. And that's what this guy is saying. If they don't keep inflating, if they don't keep the debt coming from the Treasury, the markets will implode. You see the financial markets. There's a lot of greed in there because uh, if you think about what the repo market is, it's people who already have assets, but they're not happy with what they have, so they want to leverage to get even more returns. And I think low interest rates exacerbate that as well because it makes investors search for more yield, for more risk. Lord Humongous, I met with Greg from Silver Liberty's channel this morning. I don't know if you have subscribed, but he's very he's very technical. I haven't looked at that channel. I'll have a look. Silver Liberties. Have you seen the Darling Buds of May? Yeah, I remember that program. Mark with a K, can you do a video on what the impact was on the largest counterfeiting operation in history of the UK? Operation Bernard. Yeah, I spoke about that about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, that didn't help the currency because yeah, they flooded the monetary system in the UK with counterfeit £5 notes. I'm not sure if it had a huge impact. The UK was going downhill monetarily ever since the end of World War One. So the pound had been dropping, in the 20s, in the 30s, and prior to just when World War Two started, there was a 25% uh, devaluation of the pound. So it might have had a bit of an impact. I'll have a look into it and see if it's worth a video or not. The thing is, I don't think it was the biggest counterfeiting operation in the UK history. The biggest counterfeiting operation in the UK history has been since 1914. The Bank of England and the government have been doing themselves. It's called fiat currency. It's counterfeit money, really. So, no, that was just a little bit of counterfeiting. William Birkenroad, is the Fed only supposed to control short-term yields? The American 10-year bond seems the index mortgage loans. Well, that's what the Fed used to do. Normally, they used to control the Fed funds overnight rate. The Fed funds is the rate that banks that are federally chartered charge each other for overnight funds, and the Fed used to controls that. But ever since '08, with the financial crisis of '08, they started doing QE and buying further out the yield curve. Yes, they buy 10-year notes. They even probably buy 30 years. So yeah, and pretty soon they're even buying corporate bonds now, right? So that's the Fed. Uh, Oh, one thing I wanted to show you guys I thought was pretty interesting, and I hadn't heard about this, and this is the story. It's in the FT. Wall Street doubles down on lending cheap money to the rich. So, combined value of loans made by wealth management units at top US banks in second quarter exceeds 600 billion. So what they're saying here is that the big Wall Street banks, they're not going after the little guy with the credit card debt. They're going after the very wealthy, and they're lending them money for them to invest in the stock market, to buy yachts, as you can see here, or private jets and whatever they want to buy. I think it's pretty dangerous, not just for the banks, but for the very wealthy. uh, of course, they're not silly, but and why are they doing this? Well, because credit is so cheap. So I thought that was quite interesting. So it says here the combined value of loans made by wealth management arms of J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley surpassed 600 billion in the second quarter, up 17.5% from a year earlier. Um, so this is what has been said here. This guy says, what concerns me is that you have this flood of credit, all with the backdrop that the wealthy never go bad, said Peter Atwater, president of Financial Insights. So why am I looking into this? Am I concerned about the very wealthy that they could lose their shirt? No, but I think it's an interesting signal, because back in the Roaring Twenties, um, a lot of the wealthy were borrowing on margin to buy stocks. And I always remember the story of Lindsey Williams. His father was a very wealthy real estate speculator in Florida. And when the crash came in 29, he lost everything. And I think this could be in the next crash. We could see, because I think Main Street and the bottom 90%, people have lost a lot already, but we could see not the top 1%, I would say, but the bottom, the top 9%, maybe some of the 1% will lose their shirt. And yeah, that would be pretty big, I would say. Querido Caballo, well, Billy, he's on the floor. He was on the sofa earlier, but he jumped off because he likes lying down on the wood floor because it's a little hot. Not very hot, but in the summer he does that. George Assad, those who own the system implemented cryptos to use a way of making a great deal of currency disappear when crypto goes to zero. It's possible. The other thing some people say is that the crypto market over the last 12 years or so, a huge infrastructure has been built by the software people, IT people or coders, whatever you want to call it. And it's already now for for Wall Street and the central banks. They've done the work for them. So it is possible. I always, I do have exposure to crypto, not huge, because I post a lot of my videos on blockchain platforms like Odyssey, BitChute, and Hive. But some people, yeah, one thing that I always found suspicious is that we don't know who wrote the white paper for Bitcoin. Yeah, it's Satoshi Nakamoto, but no one knows who he is. The excuse they give is that he did it for security reasons, but who knows? I've even heard that the NSA was looking at cryptocurrencies in the 90s, so you never know. And the other thing that a few years ago, because as I've said, I've been involved in cryptos myself, not in a big way, but I've used a lot of exchanges and stuff. And there was one exchange, I think it's called Bittrex. It is Bittrex, I think. And 3 or 4 years ago, Goldman Sachs indirectly took over that exchange. So I knew there was something not right there. Dimitri, thank you again. If I may express my opinion, I think in this crash, the rich would be on the opposite end of the market, unlike 29, when rich and poor were on the same end. You could be right. You could be right. Who knows? Matthias Van Louvren, thank you for your super chat. Regarding video and real estate, why do you say to buy without a mortgage? For example, when you buy basic residential real estate for renting with fixed interest, what do you see as risk? I'm averse to, it's more of a, how can I say, a moral thing, because I don't like dealing with the bankers. And by taking a mortgage, you're beholden to the bankers. But I agree with you. I mean, when we bought our first family home back in around 90, I think it was 95, I took a mortgage and eventually I paid it off. I'm not saying people shouldn't have a mortgage, but try to have as little as possible. And what I meant by that as well in my video this morning was that with house prices so high, if you chase the price, the more you chase it, the more you pay for real estate. You're going to have to get a bigger mortgage. So back in the before, when the housing bubble was developing in the early 2000s to 2008, there were people taking 100% mortgages, you see, so they bought a house for 200,000 and they had a 200,000 pound mortgage. That's what I meant. When I bought my house, the size of the mortgage back in 95 was about just under half the value of the house. So I was pretty comfortable with that. And that's what I mean. Lily Robbins says being a landlord used to be a path to being wealthy, but the path is closed down. Only buy real estate to live in. Rentals will be impossible to make money on. That's true, but I think over time, if you buy property and hold it, for example, give you an example, on my mother's side, her father, he passed away, I think in 1979, my grandfather, and he helped develop, that wasn't his business, but he invested in the development of some small apartments in Brazil. And part of the deal was that he left a couple of flats for each of his kids, my mom, her two sisters, and her brother. And up until 3 years ago, my mom still had one of those flats, and it was worth something. So those flats, that building that he helped, he was kind of involved in, is still there. And it went through 3 or 4 different currency collapses in Brazil. So I know what you mean, that right now renting is always tough, because my dad had some properties as well, and you have to maintain it if you want to keep it in proper shape. A lot of times you have to keep chasing the tenant for rent. Yeah, it's not that easy. Steve E., thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your persistence in fighting this war. You're welcome. I mean, there's nothing else to do except to fight it. I would be letting myself down, not trying to warn the public about, the current system that we have. And they throw so many other problems at us, which are really non-problems, while the biggest problem is, in my opinion, and I know the world is never going to be perfect, but I think if we have an honest weights and measures in money, which is really money and currency is really important in a advanced uh, economy that we have, because we have so much specialization. And if we don't have a sound money system, the whole economy will be damaged, and indirectly, and society will be damaged as well. So I'm not saying that the world will be perfect if we go back to honest weights and measures, but it won't be as bad as it's now. I think, things are really gone crazy, in my opinion. Not only in my opinion, I think a lot of people think the same. Norman Burton, thank you for your super chat. I read today that Canada is in its 25th year of the housing bubble. It has not had a breather. David Rosenberg is calling it epic. Yeah, I know of David Rosenberg. I think he used to work for Merrill Lynch years ago. He's a good analyst. Australia as well, I guess, has been having a housing bubble forever. I guess Canada has. I don't know the market there that well, but there's a lot of also outside factors, like I think back in the 90s, mid 1997 or just before, with the Hong Kong handover to China, there were a lot of Hong Kong Chinese who emigrated to British Columbia, I think, to Vancouver. So there's a big outside investors as well in Canada, I think, that affect that. But also the fact that interest rates have been not only manipulated lower by the Federal Reserve, but also by the Bank of Canada. The Western world is just hollowing out their economies, their productive economies. We've become economies hooked on credit, on debt, borrowing, consumption. We've forgotten about production. Like the Austrian School of Economics says that to be a consumer, you have to be a producer. But the Keynesian philosophy is that we all should be spending and spending. They never think about production, and I think that's a symptom of that. And it's also a symptom that the currency, because I've seen some of the pictures of the houses that they sell for $1 million in Canada, and they're like shacks. Uh, I think it's also a reflection of the fact that the currency is becoming worth less and less. So it's the beginnings of hyperinflation, I would say, and it's going to happen everywhere. Tears for beers. I would buy a Billy calendar. Do you see a scenario where you would get the shot, Joshua Porter? No, I don't. I don't. Not voluntarily, at least. I guess if they said I couldn't go shopping for food, maybe, or even if I shop for food online, I'd have to prove that I was, doubled, whatever. Then I might have to, because I don't have a farm. So yeah, yeah. I think someone said Gordon Deavy. Cities in Canada are vying levy special property tax rates rising. I think raising. Don't understand. Name here from New Jersey. Hi, name here. Let's see. Let's see. Let me. Billy. Come here, boy. Come here. Come here, boy. Here we go. There he is. He was asleep. Say hello, Billy, to everyone. There you go. Good boy. Back down. No, Billy hasn't had my wife. Billy's really healthy, except for his eyes, which Shih Tzus don't have the best eyes. Except for that, he's in perfect shape. Let's see. I got something else here to look at. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about interest rates because the ECB. I think they met. I think it was it this week, last week, or maybe the week before, and they said that they want to keep rates negative, and in Japan as well. They've got rates negative for the last 20 years, and the people who get hurt from negative rates are people, the elderly, the people that are retired, who usually have a nest egg to invest. So what I'm trying to say here, look at Italy, 22.8% population are 65 or older. Greece, Portugal, Finland, Germany, Bulgaria, all over 20%. And if interest rates in the Eurozone were like 5% or 6%, let's say, a pensioner had saved 200,000 euros, that would be 12,000 euros extra spending that this pensioner would have. That would stimulate the economy because the pensioner would be spending more. He might also invest in younger people, in younger projects. So yeah, I think it's they're destroying capitalism. They're destroying savings. But we know that central banking is one of the planks of the Communist Manifesto. So they're not really friends of free market and capitalism. So that's what I say. I think in the US, that proportion is a bit lower. It's 16%. And rates in the US are still relatively high compared to the rates in Europe. Lord Humongous, you should make a Billy stuffed animal for your channel. The problem with that, Lord Humongous, is that trying to sell it, to have a shop, it's not economical, all the shipping and everything. The best thing for me is just the Teespring store, really, because they do everything and they ship everywhere around the world. BR Williams, hello BR. Way back, Mark with a K, way back in 1541, the prohibition on interest was undone by the Pope. Is interest-free banking a potential solution to the collapse? Maybe this is a good enough topic for a video. I think even in the US, they had laws against high interest rate up until the early 80s. I think there was, it was called, I forgot what they call when you have high interest rates. I forgot that, but they did have those laws. Oh, one thing I noticed that is encouraging is that there were, let's have a look, I'm share it with you, a lot of these over yesterday in Europe. Protesters rage across Europe. Of course, you won't hear about this in the mainstream media, but there were protests in Dublin, Ireland, as you can see. London yesterday, that's Trafalgar Square, quite a lot of people. Paris getting pretty violent as well. I think there's a lot of protests going on Also in Italy, Parma in Italy. These are all the places they're protesting in Italy and France. So that's encouraging. I think the powers that be are pushing the people too far. And yeah, it could backfire on them. Let's hope it does. Oh, yeah, it's usury. I forgot the term. That's right. There was a limit on usury laws in the US. I think it was up until 1982 or something like that. Adamar Tucker, I agree with what you say there. Uh, yeah, I agree with you. Uh, JZW21 or JZW, thank you for your super chat. Predatory loans. I think you mean predatory, predatory loans. Uh, you know, uh, in a free market, uh, you actually not supposed to regulate those. People should be free. If I want to borrow money and pay 10% a month from someone, I should be able to. Um, I don't think it's right. I wouldn't want to. I think it's purely an economic decision for the lender and the borrower. I think the Catholic Church, I mean, I'm reading a book that I've almost finished, God's Banker, about the Vatican, and they're far from being saints. And, the Vatican Bank that has been around since the 1940s is not a very, how can I say, moral institution. I'm not saying one shouldn't try, one shouldn't be moral, but yeah, anyway. Joker Alpha, Aussies are protesting as well. Yeah, I saw that, Joker Alpha. I saw the police in Sydney was pretty rough with the demonstrators. James Peter Millward, don't forget to stock your pantry with supplies. That's right. Silver Highwaymen, double sovereigns worth getting. They're probably all right. The thing with double sovereigns is that they probably not as common as how can I say, their premiums might be a little higher. Just like the half sovereign, the premiums are higher, but it's the same kind of thing. It's £2 a double sovereign, and it is legal tender, so it should be all right. I think there's even a £5 sovereign, so five sovereigns. Mark with a K, could you explain why prohibition on interest was undone by the Pope? No, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. So I would say because they probably were involved in banking and they wanted to earn money, because that's how the Vatican works. They're not saints, but I haven't looked into it. I'm just speculating. Billy's not snoring tonight. No, he's pretty quiet. He's right here, just below me. He's not. He's quiet today. What's Gabriel Carballo? Mary, what's the best type of silver to buy in your opinion? I hope I ain't wasting my time stacking a lot of constitutional silver. I think constitutional silver is good. I have a lot of US constitutional silver, which is basically the pre-65 coins. I think they're great. 1,000 ounce bars, if you have a lot of money, those are good. I don't have a 1,000 ounce bar. All kinds of silver is fine. Even silverware, knives and fork. I've got some silver golf cups there. They're like from Europe. They're like 800 silver. I'm not gonna sell it, of course, because they're silver. Some of my golf prizes. But any silver is good, and if you get a good price, it doesn't matter what it is. George Assad says Rothschilds owned the Vatican. Yeah, I think they did lend them a lot of money in the 19th century, so they could have a lot of influence. They were the Vatican's banker, not the whole time. I think, yeah, they weren't the Vatican's banker all the time. I'm not sure what the situation is now. What will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, in your opinion, Barry? Leverage derivatives. That's what's going to break the camel's back because the financial monetary system is leveraged to the hilt. And so that's what's going to do it. Kevin Tui, capitalism cannot be fixed through regulations, I guess you mean. Yeah, I think the problem is that there's too much corruption and dishonesty in the world. Not saying that everyone, that I'm a saint or everyone should be a saint, but there's a lot of corruption by the people that are supposed to be uh, administering the rule of law. There's no rule of law. So if you don't have rule of law, you can't have uh, an economy and a market or a capitalistic system that functions properly. And I think it goes to the kind of money we have. Because if you don't have, money is at is a half of every transaction in the world, commercial transaction, money. And if the money is bad, if the weights and measure of value are screwed up, everything is going to be screwed up. So I think that's the problem. And more regulation is not going to fix it. If you've got bad money, regulation is going to make it worse, in my opinion. And it's going to be compromised. It's going to be controlled by the people who benefit from the dishonest system. Zero interest rate, yeah. Alan, zero interest rate destroys, what do the Austrians call it? Time preference, because, yeah, it doesn't, you don't put any effort behind things because when you start a project, time is limited, right? So you try to do the best you can because you want to return on your efforts, and you know that you're gonna have to do it eventually because eventually we all die. But when there's no limit in what you can try to do, there's a lot of bad projects that start. So I think zero interest rates are a bad thing. Free money. It doesn't work that way. It basically doesn't value time. And I think time is very precious. Lord Humongous says barter is a good, honest system of trade. It is a good system, but it gets to a point where society evolves, and like the group of people that are trading, the population grows, and there's limitation because it's very hard sometimes to barter because there's wants and needs don't correspond if I'm trying to do something. So that's where money comes in. It facilitates indirect exchange, but it should be done with a commodity that is valuable and that people value. It can't be done by fiat like we have today. But I agree with you. That's why governments and politicians don't like barter because there's no money involved. They can't tax you. It's you exchange value for value. Jim Marshall says energy is free. Well, yeah, I've read about Tesla's free energy, but that was scuppered, unfortunately, where he takes the energy from the stratosphere. I think you do have to build the infrastructure to trap that energy, but he wanted to do it for free for the world. Silver Highwaymen, the Club of Rome seems like they are more in control than the World Economic Forum. Club of Rome has their next milestone at 2052. I think the World Economic Forum is just like a think tank for the globalists. It doesn't run things, but it gives a lot of suggestions. It's like a meeting point for a lot of the top globalists as well to exchange ideas. But yeah, who's in charge? Who knows? Probably someone we never heard of. What happens to money in the bank when currencies collapse? Well, they become worthless. So it doesn't make any difference if it's in the bank or if you're holding it. Primal Plasma, thank you for your super chat. During a currency collapse, how would one pay for a loaf of bread using a silver coin? The coin cannot be divided. Well, let me show you. It depends on the size of a coin. And coins can be divided. The Mexican, the Spanish dollars, they were divided. That's why you've got the same pieces of 8, right? Because they were divided into 8 pieces. So you can divide coins, but let's say you can take there we go. This is I think this is 10 cents Canadian. That's silver. That's really tiny. You might get 2 loaves of bread for that. So, I mean, but if you pay with one of these, you probably get the shopping for the whole week. So it depends on the size of the silver, right? The silver coin. But if you take a if you take a kilo bar of silver to buy bread, yeah, that's not the best way. That's why it's good to have all kinds of silver for bartering, for saving, and yeah, the dimes are good. The 64 dimes are good. They're just about the same. They're like the Canadian 10 cents. In the UK, I have a lot of I have the sixpence or threepence. They're really tiny silver coins. You could probably get quite a bit for threepenny bit, which is silver. That's pre 1920. And I don't know if some of you have watched my interview. I interviewed Star Path Academy, and he said that in Romania, people who had gold or silver were not many because Romania was a communist country for many years before that. But he said that whoever had some silver or gold, they tried not to get rid of that in the hyperinflation. But I think they will be useful. Gold will be different because gold will be very valuable. Gold will be, I would say, used to exchange for assets like maybe a car or a small house. There's a story about a young German guy during the Weimar hyperinflation. He was given a $20 gold piece, which is just under an ounce, double eagle by some American tourists. And after when the hyperinflation happened, he was able to buy like a small bed and breakfast or hotel with that coin. And sometimes, from what Arpad of Star Path Academy said, because not only he went through the hyperinflation, but his father and grandparents as well went through hyperinflations. And the trick, according to him, and I think he's right, is keeping a hold of your gold and silver during a hyperinflation. And then on the other side of the crisis, then you can go and acquire a lot of assets, because no one else, very few people have any money, because all the other money was destroyed. So, but in the hyperinflation, according to him, the most important commodity to have is relationships with your neighbors, to be on a friendly basis, to have to be connected to your community so you can help each other. The $half is selling for about $15. Yeah, I like the Kennedy $half. I have some Franklin $half as well. When there's blood in the streets, that's what I think Rothschild said in the 1800s. You buy when there's blood in the streets. Lord Humunga says he's gotten some good deals at pawn shops. Lily Robbins says, I hope we can always meet here. When we can't, I will miss everybody dearly. I like the subs here more than my family, because you subs are smarter and awake. Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, one of my videos was deleted about a month ago, and I got a warning, no strike. And I plan to keep going, because I've always tried to wake people up on the question of money and currency and economics. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, because I think it's a big part of bringing down the authoritarians that we have, because they're able to do what they do because they have fiat currency. If we had sound money, this wouldn't be happening, because Warren Buffett's dad, Howard Buffett, he was a congressman from Nebraska, said in 1948, you can't have human freedom without redeemable money. And by that, he means, if you're going to have a currency, a country have a currency, like a paper currency, it has to be redeemable at a fixed rate in gold and silver. And that's how they've gotten away with it. Hopefully, it won't come to where they find it necessary to censor what I say, but who knows? Who knows? Everything's going mad in the world. So HZJ79, thank you for your super chat. Lockdowns in Sydney, Australia continue. I can't take my pooch to the groomer. Why don't you take yours instead, Mario? We're lucky. I think last year, in the initial lockdowns that we had from March to, I think, I don't remember, till June or something. Yeah, because Billy has a mobile groomer. She comes and parks on our driveway, and I take Billy out there. But during the lockdowns last year, she couldn't do anything either. So Billy had really, we had to wash him ourselves and clean him. But that's a shame. And the thing about Australia, and I'm not going to go too far into this, is that you guys haven't had to even any problems with this thing. Very few fatalities. I mean, it just showed that it's all orchestrated, and it's all being done as a non-crisis. It's like an engineered crisis, right? Enslavement of Western civilization. What do you think about what Cliff High said regarding those that took the you know what? He thinks they won't be around too long. Now UK government tendering for emergency crematoriums. Yeah, that's the thing about this medical procedure. It hasn't been tested for a long, it doesn't have a track record, so it's really dangerous. Who knows what could happen? Cliff High could be right, but it depends. Some people are more susceptible to getting damaged by these medical procedures, and some are not. So, but why take the chance for something you have a 99.7% chance of overcoming? Why take a chance with this uncertain thing? Car Jones, love your channel, and Billy. Thank you, Car Jones from Southern California. Bari, can you recommend where to buy small denomination silver? Um, eBay is a good place. eBay is a good place. I don't know where you are, Bari. If you let me know. I mean, if you're in the UK, yeah, I recommend eBay. Yeah, there's a lot, if you go on eBay and search pre 1965 dimes, or if you're in the UK, if you search pre 1920 shillings or sixpence and things like that, you find stuff on eBay. And eBay, if you buy from someone who's got a track record and has, let's say, over 99% rating, it should be all right. Thank you, Lord Humongous. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Yeah, SW says eBay is good and look for excellent feedback. That's right. I've bought a lot of coins from eBay, the smaller coins. I've also bought some numismatic coins from eBay from a good, yeah, there's a good eBay from the Czech Republic. They sell really nice coins from all over the world, numismatic. Barry's from Ireland. Love your channel. Thank you. Yeah, eBay, Barry. I don't know how it works in Ireland. If you could Google coin shops or coin and metal dealers, you might have those in Ireland. Yeah, check. We have some here in the UK still. We don't have as many as there used to be. Or even pawn shops, they might have silver coins. So we got a couple more minutes. Carlos Garcia, is it possible revaluation first and collapse never comes? Revaluation of what? You mean the devaluation of the currency? Um, it's possible. It's possible. The problem is that the system is so inflated and so leveraged that they have to keep going. And if they stop inflating, it will collapse. And if they keep going, it will collapse through hyperinflation. So I think a collapse is inevitable. It's only a matter of, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. Good Humor Man said, I got some counterfeit coins on eBay. Well, one thing I would say about eBay, you need to read the description of the coins carefully. Sometimes, people are a little bit devious. They say this is a gold. They say it's a golden coin, and it looks like a Krugerrand, but it's not a real Krugerrand. So you have to be careful. But I would say it's okay if someone is selling too much counterfeit stuff on eBay. They won't be there for too long. Silver Highwayman, I really want to buy a 10 franc gold coin. If I sell it, will I have to pay VAT? No, I don't think you sell. Whenever you sell something, you don't pay VAT. So, no, there is no VAT on selling anything. There's no VAT on gold in the UK if you're in the UK, Silver Highwayman. George Assad says tungsten is used to counterfeit gold coins. Uh, I think it's more the bars that they counterfeit with. But what I'm talking about here is like the old silver coins, like the in the US they call them constitutional. In the UK, it's the pre 1920. It's not worth counterfeiting those because a lot of times they're not as valuable. All right. So I'm going to call it a night. It's 10 o'clock. I'd like to thank everyone for being here and wish you all a great rest of the weekend. For those in Australia and in the Far East, I wish you a great start to the week because it's Monday already over there. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, everyone, and thanks again.